And that's what you get when you're too risky, trying to show something off. So, with this build, when you get relatively low health, all you do is you put out the skill, you're going to get a lot of health back. And then if this guy stops attacking me, you're going to get even more back. So, welcome back to Elden Ring. In this video, we are going through the ultimate dex build that is based on you being a vampire, so there is a load of life still in this build, and is going to be based around the Hand of Malenia katana, because I've seen so many people talking about it recently, and I've also seen a lot of people mention a vampire build, so I've stuck the two together, and this is the result. So just quickly, before we do get into the build, if you're not currently subbed to the channel, make sure you do sub, turn notifications on. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, all support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support me further as a creator, then check out the links in the description, and let's get into it. One extra thing about this build, I didn't realise it was bugged at the time. Yes, it is bugged, that's why I put broken in the title. I will explain it as we get to that part of the video. But I did initially say to run the Commander Standard weapon with the Hand of Malenia in this one. Do not do that. All you've got to do, in place of the Commander Standard that I spoke about at the beginning, is just switch it for a seal and run Golden Vow instead. You will get less damage, but it's not broken, and you're actually, at least for the time being, going to get more damage because patch 1.03 broke the combo of the Commander Standard and the Hand of Malenia. I had to get that explained before we get into it. I do explain it further when we get into the video, but without any more interruptions, let's get into it. So, we are starting off with the Hand of Malenia. This is going to be based highly around dexterity, because the requirement to use this katana is 48. So the Hand of Malenia at +9 is going to have B tier scaling for dexterity, and strength is pretty much irrelevant, although it does have a 16 requirement. You'll see that altogether the attack power 269, and we get 235 bonus from our dex. If you can build your dex up so that you can hit the soft caps, if you can get this to 80, your build is going to be super strong with this. And we're going to be focusing on the skill called Waterfowl Dance. The initial cost is 12 FP, and then the follow-up attack is going to cost you a further 9. What we are also going to do is run the Blasphemous Blade in our offhand, purely just to use the passive effect on it that it doesn't show you, but when you do get a kill, you will replenish some of your HP. So this one you will need 21 faith and 22 strength. You're obviously going to have way more than 15 dex to run this build. So far the minimum requirements are 48 dex, 21 faith and 22 strength. However, that strength does go up to 24, being the minimum to run this build, and that is because we are going to run the Commander Standard. This is the only thing we're going to use to buff the build, but basically you'll switch to this, you will use the Rallying Standard skill, and this is going to give you an extra 20% both attack and defense. So you're going to take less damage, you're going to deal more damage, and it's a lot easier to run, or it's just a lot more efficient in a build than something like Golden Vow. This will only last 30 seconds, Golden Vow lasts about 90, but Golden Vow will give you a 15% damage increase, and you'll only receive 10% less damage. So it's double the defense, and there's an extra 5% damage when you use the Commander Standard. The only thing is you have to just use it a little bit more often. With the armor, I'm running Lazuli Glintstone Crown purely to get my dexterity built up a little bit more. And then I am running just any standards, like just whatever, for the rest of the armor. However, I do recommend you build up your poise, because as you are using Waterfowl Dance, you are going to get hit and you are going to get staggered. And it's not nice being in the middle of a big group of enemies that are absolutely battering you and you can't stay on your feet. So try and build up your poise. It's going to require quite a bit of endurance, especially if you are running Blasphemous Blade in your offhand, because that does weigh 13.5. In terms of the talismans, again, I needed to build the dex up, so I've got Radagon Soreseal. There are quite a few options with this one. You can boost your dexterity even further. You could run the Claw Talisman if you want to do your jumping attacks. There are quite a few you can use. You can even lower the FP with Carian Filigreed Crest. If you want to play a bit more risky and try and stay at max HP all the time, you can run Ritual Sword to boost your attack power. Or if you want even more HP when you're killing enemies, you can run Taker's Cameo. But as I said, Radagon Soreseal, because it's going to boost my dexterity by 5. It will also give you an extra 5 strength, endurance and vigour. So I definitely recommend Radagon's Soreseal unless you have high enough stats and you can focus on something different. Then this is a no-brainer on a lot of builds, especially melee and like katana builds. The Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, because it greatly raises your attack power with successive attacks. Then we are also going to use Shard of Alexander on this one because it greatly boosts the attack power of your skills. And your skill being Waterfowl Dance, it's like a 12-hit combo or something crazy, so this is going to give you a lot more attack power. Then the final talisman we are going to look at is Godskin Swaddling Cloth, and that is because successive attacks restore your health. So you'll get an HP back from the Blasphemous Blade, you get an HP back from Godskin Swaddling Cloth, and then if you wanted to take this an extra step further, you could run Taker's Cameo. And then for the Flask of Wondrous Physic, we have Dexterity Not Crystal Tier and Green Burst Crystal Tier, so that we have a boosted stamina recovery speed and extra dexterity, because that is going to help this build so much. The entire thing, like besides your minimum strength requirements, the only stat you really need to focus on is your dex. So if I use the Hand of Malenia and come over to this enemy, one right bumper is only going to deal 420 damage, but this is not all about DPS and being really strong in terms of your attack. This is going to be a better survival sort of build. There's going to be a lot of damage still, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be a mixture, like a little bit of a hybrid between attack and survivability. So now if I pop my flask, just to get that extra 10 dexterity, that 420 damage, if we attack him again, goes up to 454. So it's not a drastic difference, but that's going to last for 3 minutes. So you've got that extra attack power for 3 entire minutes, just by using the Dexterity Not Crystal Tier. And then, as I said, Golden Veil is pointless. It's a 15% damage increase and a 10% damage reduction increase. It will last for 90 seconds, which is the best benefit of it, but it requires running a seal, and you've also got to sit there and cast the incantation. It takes a little while, it can get irritating, whereas if we switch over our weapon, and we then switch over to two-hand it, we use the skill rallying standard. I'm also going to drink my flask. And then we switch over, the 454 standard attack goes to, and we attack him, goes up to 545. So you can still deal a very good damage with this, because that's just one attack. You're going to be using Waterfowl Dance, which is going to do a lot of successive attacks, and the follow-up is crazy as well. I think I found a bug with this build. I think I found a broken build. Okay, so, I'm going to switch over. Well, I'm going to keep everything on. I'm going to put on the Golden Order Seal, and I'm also going to put on Golden Veil. I don't know if it is Commander Standard doing this. So if I come over to this guy here, and I just use Waterfowl Dance, you'll see it's dealt 244 damage quite quick. Let me attract all the enemies. I'm going to try and get them into a nice little, like, small circle. And then if I use Waterfowl Dance, I absolutely obliterate them, yeah? I mean, they don't have a lot of health, granted, but they're all dying. And whilst all the troops are rallying, if I drink my flask, switch over to two-hand, and then use Rallying Standard, it's supposed to buff your damage, 20% increase. But then I switch back and I use Waterfowl Dance. Watch this damage. It's barely touching them. It's staggering them all, granted, but it's not killing them. And I've just used two things that will buff. Is that? Let me check the wiki quick. So, according to the wiki as well, it is a bug. As of patch 1.03, using this skill and then switching to the Hand of Malenia to use its unique skill Waterfowl Dance seems to be bugged and does roughly 1% of normal damage. Okay, so the video is going to seem a little bit weird. There will obviously be chapters and stuff you can skip through, and I'll title them, like, I'll give them the best title I possibly can with the chapters. But I'm going to now have to go back and do, like, an intro commentary, and let you guys all know before the video starts that I do say to use Commander Standard, but it's broken. So, thank you, Elden Ring. Cheers for patch 1.03 breaking this build. And I apologise because of that if the video is confusing. But if they do get around to fixing it and they squash the bug, then Rallying Standard is the way to go because of the extra damage like attack power and defense. So if we take a look at it now, Golden Vow is only going to provide a 15% damage increase and a 10% damage reduction. But if we do the same thing again, so I drink my flask, and now unfortunately I have to get down and proc Golden Vow, and get attacked in the process, and then that's why I mentioned to build up your poise. But now if I do Waterfowl Dance, there we go, dealing a lot of extra damage. So at the moment, if you scrap the Commander Standard and you run Golden Vow instead, I apologise, but obviously it's not my fault the game's bugged. So for the time being, put any Seal into the build, grab yourself Golden Vow, the incantation, use that, and then you're good to go. And I'm actually quite gutted, because the amount of extra damage, like I know it's only a 5% increase from Golden Vow, but that would have been really, really good. So now if I do what I was going to originally showcase, like when I did this with the Commander Standard, I was like, oh my god, why is it not working? I'm going to have to go back and start the whole video all over again, and I was panicking. But if I drink my flask, and then I use Golden Vow, then when we come over to this guy, if we use Waterfowl Dance, there we go, that's more like it. So you'll see, you can follow up with it, but we had already killed him before the final follow-up. So you're going to deal a very, very good amount of damage with this, and you are also going to heal a hell of a lot with it as well. So again, with Waterfowl Dance, it's a really cheap skill to use as well. And just look at that. It's incredible. I think this might actually be a little bit better than like the Rivers of Blood Arcane Bleed builds. Just because if that dog stayed alive then, I would have dealt like 7,000 damage in the skill. And it doesn't take long to do it, and you're getting health back the entire time. So yes, this video will have OP in the title. It's also going to have broken, because it is genuinely broken. And I know a lot of you hate those sorts of titles. I have been trying to steer clear of them. But when I do find something that is really powerful, I will title it overpowered. Not only is this going to be good against big groups of enemies because of the amount of attacks you can pull off, so successive attacks, it will also be very good against bosses too, because you are running the Godskin Swaddling Cloth. Successive attacks will restore health, so the entire build is not just based around health back on kill, you're getting it back on hit as well. I think it's a 5-hit combo to get some health back, but you're going to regen it during boss fights too. So that was a look at the build. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.